Sunlight is coming to the grand jury investigation against Letitia James. No, not the first grand jury investigation brought by Trump's loyalist, inexperienced former personal attorney turned first-time prosecutor Lindsay Halligan. I'm talking about the second grand jury investigation brought by Trump's loyalist, inexperienced former personal attorney turned first-time prosecutor John Sauer. And on that grand jury investigation, a federal judge has ruled that a fight over a subpoena has to become public. Hit subscribe right now, because what comes next shows exactly why Trump is fighting so hard to keep these prosecutions hidden from you. The judge who opened the doors. A famous Supreme Court justice named Louis Brandeis once said, "Sunlight is the best disinfectant." He meant that when you shine light on something bad, it helps clean it up. That's exactly what senior U.S. District Judge Lorna Schofield did when she ordered this second grand jury investigation to be unsealed and made public. Judge Schofield didn't just make a simple ruling here. She wrote a powerful opinion that tore apart every reason John Sauer's office gave for keeping this investigation secret. What makes this really important is that Judge Schofield isn't some new judge who just got appointed. She was nominated by President Obama back in 2012, and the Senate confirmed her with support from both Democrats and Republicans. She's been handling some of the biggest and most complicated cases in the Southern District of New York for over 10 years. When a judge with her experience and reputation says an investigation needs to be public, that means something serious is going on. But here's what most people don't know about this ruling. Judge Schofield didn't order the case unsealed just because Letitia James asked her to. She found that keeping it secret would break basic rules about court transparency that have been around since America was founded. The subpoenas that asked for everything. John Sauer's office sent subpoenas to Letitia James's office that lawyers are calling crazy and unprecedented. These weren't normal requests for specific documents about a specific crime. According to Letitia James's legal team, the first subpoena literally asked for every single piece of paper, every email, every text message, every internal note about the Trump fraud case and the NRA case. We're talking about potentially millions of pages of documents covering years of work. Let me put this in perspective. When federal prosecutors go after real criminals like mob bosses or people running huge fraud schemes, they usually ask for specific things. They want documents about certain bank accounts, certain meetings, certain time periods. That's how real criminal investigations work. But Sauer's subpoenas look more like he's trying to drown the New York Attorney General's office in paperwork and force them to spend huge amounts of money on lawyers. Legal experts say that following these, subpoenas as written would need dozens of lawyers working full-time for months. The subpoenas also asked for private lawyer discussions and protected communications that are normally kept confidential. That's not how you build a criminal case. That's how you bully and scare a political opponent. The appointment that breaks the law. John Sauer was put in place as acting U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of New York without Senate approval and without permission from the district's federal judges. That might sound like boring government stuff, but it actually decides whether anything he does as a prosecutor is legal. There's a law called the Federal Vacancies Reform Act that has very clear rules about who can serve as an acting U.S. attorney and for how long. The law says an acting U.S. attorney can only serve for 210 days unless the president has sent a permanent nominee to the Senate. After that deadline, the job must either be filled by someone the Senate approves or by someone the district court judges pick. Trump's Department of Justice has just ignored these rules in multiple districts across the country. John Sauer has been serving way past the 210-day limit, and there's no permanent nominee anywhere in sight. The Supreme Court has said over and over that appointments made against the Constitution's rules don't count. That means every subpoena Sauer sends out, every grand jury he puts together, every criminal charge he files could be thrown out as illegal. We've already seen this happen in other places. In New Jersey, a federal judge threw out criminal charges because the acting U.S. attorney who brought them was unlawfully appointed. The score, as Judge Schofield wrote in her opinion, is now 30-0. from Trump's lawyer to Trump's prosecutor. John Sauer isn't just someone Trump appointed. He was Trump's personal lawyer who argued cases for Trump in front of the Supreme Court. Less than a year ago, Sauer stood in front of the 9 justices and said Trump should have complete immunity from criminal prosecution for things he did while he was president. He represented Trump in the January 6th criminal case. He came up with legal plans to keep Trump out of prison. Now he's supposedly acting as a fair prosecutor, going after Trump's political enemies. The ethical problems with this are huge. The American Bar Association has rules that specifically say lawyers can't use government power to go after cases where they have a personal interest or where they used to represent the client. But Sauer has never stepped away from matters involving Trump or Trump's enemies. He's never admitted any conflict of interest. Actually, he's done the opposite. He's aggressively gone after people Trump has publicly attacked on social media and at campaign rallies. The pattern is obvious. Trump posts about Letitia James being a corrupt prosecutor who should be investigated. A few weeks later, Sauer starts a grand jury to investigate her. Trump says the NRA verdict was rigged. Sauer subpoenas all the records from that trial. This isn't independent prosecution. This is political revenge dressed up as a legal case. The perfect 30-0 record that proves the pattern. Judge Schofield's ruling included extra notes at the bottom that show something amazing. Every single Trump-installed acting U.S. attorney who has been challenged in court has lost. Not some of them, not most of them, all of them. 30 cases, 30 losses, 0 wins. In the Eastern District of Virginia, a federal judge said Lindsay Halligan was unlawfully appointed and didn't have authority to bring prosecutions. In the Central District of California, the same thing happened. In Nevada, another Trump-installed acting U.S. attorney was kicked out in the middle of a prosecution. These aren't even close decisions. These are clear rulings from federal judges of all political backgrounds, including judges appointed by Republican presidents. The legal reasoning is the same in all 30 cases. These acting U.S. attorneys were not appointed the right way according to the Constitution. And because their appointments are illegal, they don't have the power to prosecute anyone. What makes this 30-0 record so damaging is that it proves this isn't about one bad prosecutor or one questionable legal decision. This is a planned strategy by the Trump administration to put loyalists in prosecutor jobs without going through the normal confirmation process that would need Senate approval and public attention. Why real prosecutors won't touch these cases. Here's what should scare everyone about this situation. If there were real evidence that Letitia James committed crimes in her prosecution of Trump or the NRA, experienced federal prosecutors would be fighting to take those cases. A corruption case against a state attorney general would make any real federal prosecutor's career. It would be all over the news. It would be the kind of case that gets you promoted to bigger jobs. But that's not what's happening here. Instead, Trump has to install inexperienced loyalists with no prosecutor background who owe everything to him. John Sauer had never prosecuted a criminal case before being installed as acting U.S. attorney. Lindsay Halligan had never worked as a prosecutor at any level before Trump gave her one of the most powerful prosecutor jobs in the country. These aren't people who worked their way up through the Justice Department. They're political operatives being given badges and the power to subpoena people. And experienced prosecutors know why these cases are being avoided. Because there's no crime here. Letitia James won her cases against Trump because she proved fraud with actual documents that Trump's own accountants confirmed were real. This is exactly why transparency matters and why Judge Schofield's ruling could change everything. These prosecutions are happening right now, and most people have no idea. Subscribe immediately and hit that notification bell because the next development in this case could happen any day, and you need to see it the moment it happens.